seat back there.
Not bad. Okay. It's raining outside.
Yeah, New Brunswick, Fredericton.
Oh, that's good.
You know, rain.
No, it's good.
Plants need it, you know, especially with the new demands on marijuana.
Okay, focus. Not me, focus, you. We were in court, and for once I'm interested in your opinion, your Asperger's opinion. Focus, details. We went to court. Now, we went there, and then it said they wanted me in court, and was something to do with the lawsuit. I wasn't really interested. But where I was concerned, it said other issues, which I didn't know. I didn't know nothing. And then we showed up there, and I seen Judy Clemente. I said, "Oh my God, no." And what did you see?
Well, she seemed to have been a lot better behaved than in the past. She was a lot more mellower, less impulsive. You know, what I did see is that you know, they took time to explain to you what was going on, at least part of it. I mean, there's another issue that's running with this story, but we'll deal with this first one there. The you know, the decision that came up to you know, basically you know, after you spoke, you and the lawyer spoke, you came to an agreement to basically put an end to this particular.
There was two lawsuits. I even forgot there was two.
There was a 2014 and 2015.
Yeah.
But your 2015 was almost identical to your 2014.
Yeah.
And anyway, as was explained, is that you know, you can't duplicate a lawsuit. So if you're going to do something, it has to be totally a new lawsuit against the city. But the duplication, the redundancy, you know, if you wouldn't have you know, agreed, there would have been a dismissal. But you know, it ended, I guess, in a somewhat positive note. No cost was awarded to you.
That was funny. It was funny. See, what was bothering me in all this was other issues. I didn't know what the other issues was. And when I stood up and I said, I don't even know why I'm here. And I think I was pretty direct. I wasn't afraid.
Well, that's what pushed him to step back and go and explain to you what was all taking place. And that's when that matter got cleared up. And
that's where I stood up and said, what? A lawyer? That makes sense? Oh my God, communication.
That was a very strong point when you said communication.
Yeah, I mean that's what the problem is. There's no communication. There's none. Well, and I mean, the only communication is through the courts.
Yeah, you know, we know this could have been all avoided. You know, if Leanne Fitch would even have sat and talked with you.
Yeah.
You know.
And then she said, we got to learn to deal with people that's emotionally disturbed. Raid your place, falsely accuse you to be a pedophile, with the RCMP child exploitation unit. Not good.
No, that wasn't good. You know, but you know, I mean, no, I won't. You know, get. You know, we're not going to talk future strategies because we don't want to let the cat out of the bag, right?
Well,
you know.
Oh, I'll tell you what a future strategy is, and I'll be honest. I'm not going to let this thing go.
You're not going to let it go. No.
The city wants their court costs, $5,000, and that's what's scary. I think he backed off when he's trying to make me look like, oh, Mr. LeBlanc had a trial, and Mr. LeBlanc's trial was dismissed by Garnett. I stood up and I said, oh, I never had a trial.
No, and you.
And then they say, well, didn't she reach a verdict? No, I never had a trial. I never said a word.
No, and you're filing an appeal on that, and
then Richard Scott.
He come in and created such a disturbance.
Yeah.
that you could no longer fulfill applying for your appeal, and it was on the cutoff date of this
Yeah.
happened.
That's what happened.
So,
But this had nothing to do with that. This thing here,
yeah, because that would had to do with
the duplication. That's all it was.
Yeah, this
I
was
told
just-
them this had nothing to do with. They told me no. I thought I was going to go into a tricky agreement here.
You pushed them right to where they had to answer without complex legal phrases and expressions, and come right out and say no. This is just to
The duplication.
close the
Yeah.
file onto that.
But
Yeah.
now, so it's good that the judge. Go ahead.
Yeah, this time it's me cutting you off. One of the things that we did do, when it's on record, right? The stenographer got it, is when you spoke about poverty and welfare.
Yeah.
And I could see it on the judge's face that she agreed that self-representation was quite at a disadvantage. I mean, now you've got a fair amount of experience in that, and to self-represent is one of the most hardest things to do, because one, you're emotionally caught up, the other, you've got a lot of learning.
Yes, you got to and
because-
triple the papers.
And you've got to know the court procedures, the rules of evidence. I mean, that's somebody going into self-represent usually gets overwhelmed by the amount of things that they have to learn.
Exactly, and they went to school. They know. They laugh. And when he grinned,
Yes.
when I said I didn't have a trial,
Yeah.
and he grinned, the lawyer.
Yeah, you jumped right on that.
Oh my God! He grinned like. I said, "What are you grinning at?" And then,
He wiped it off.
oh, like another word. Look at this idiot. He claims he never had a trial. I never had a trial. I never said a word in the trial. There's no justice. There was justice today when he said, when they said, Your Honor, we're not gonna go for court costs. And I stood up. I said, what? You mean you're not gonna go for $10,000? Then he laughed. They all laughed. Everybody was having a chuckle in there. It was a little bit scary when judges laugh.
Well, I think too that was they were quite relieved that you weren't going to pursue it to its full conclusion, which we would have been in the courtroom probably for about 2-3 hours.
But no, I mean, pursue what? What would it have been to pursue?
No, there was, once it was made clear what exactly, they cleared up the other issues, but again, and it's because of your experience, you're aggressive enough now to push them into corners.
Push them in a corner and apologize after. Then it's like a waltz, and then.
Anyone else wouldn't even have gotten this far. They would have got selected out.
But
4 years ago.
This used to be Brown.
Now you can't give that to that. You're just getting old, Charles.
Yeah.
You're becoming an old fart like me.
So I can leave with my head
we should do a
high.
show together. 2 old farts.
You mean enough? So I can leave there my head high. There was no biggie, but we had to get ready. And thank you for showing up.
Hey, no problem. When the
I
time's
wonder
available.
who was that woman that was there, the red hair.
Yeah.
Could you please say who you are if you're watching this?
I was paying attention to what was going on in front of me, so I didn't see if she was taking notes.
No, she was taking. I seen she was taking notes.
She can be probably from, what we discussed, probably from any medias. She might be from the Irving media.
There was no shyness. We discussed the issue on the table.
Yeah.
She was there, you were there, and then Adam was there. Adam was nice for Adam showing up. But no.
Well, if she is a reporter, what's going to be good is
I don't think she's a reporter.
She'll report, how, because that was his concession, was to explain it to you, that was very understandable.
And he said it's very unusual for me to say this, but can I explain to Mr. LeBlanc? And we had a chuckle. He says, "You're not going to charge me too much money for advice." He wasn't going to give me lawyer advice, because that costs money. Make Miss Cooper here a lot of money.
Yeah, and he probably said, well, probably within a half hour to an hour, this is going to be on.
Yeah.
You know, there's going to be a rant going on.
There's going to be a rant, and here's the rant right here. But there was really.
Well, this just tied up, you know.
This could have been
loose ends, and.
But look at the papers they gave me, big giant papers.
But again, that's the, you know, to intimidate you, right?
I wonder, did it work?
No, they're starting to. I think they're starting to learn that, you know, it takes a lot to intimidate you. Well, I mean, they've lost the war of attrition with you every time. You know, you've outlasted them all. You even outlasted the chief.
And we have a new chief. Maybe I know I'm a.
Well, you know, we let we'll let them all see how they, you know, how they pan out. You know, the future will tell the story, right?
Yeah. And I thank her for not screaming at me. I told her right from the start, you don't like me, I don't like you.
But she did give, because she looks like she's pretty up there in age there. You know, I think she might be older than Donald Trump. But I like the part when the comeback she gave to you. She says, I've got to talk to a husband who has 2 hearing aids.
Yeah.
That was a good comeback.
Yeah, it was. And she don't pay attention to the internet. She doesn't know the internet.
Well, I think judges don't, because
Garnett said the same thing.
That would make sense.
It was funny. How come they took our cell phone, took everything? Garnett must be investigated. I don't know how the hell we're going to do that. And the Attorney General must be investigated. They were all involved in this 300 charge that was held over my. This is a scandal. This is a scandal. I'm not making these stories up.
Well, no, I mean, the 301, I mean...
300, 5 years. 301 is 2 years in jail. 300 is 5 years.
But the one that the CCLA got involved with
was 301.
Was 301.
Yeah.
And they couldn't understand why they didn't go with the 300.
But that was 5 years.
Yeah, but they went with the 301, which was constitutionally incorrect, because what that did, in fact, was to create the chill effect to shut people up. And that's why the CCLA jumped in, because, you know, they don't bother to screw around with the small stuff. They tend to focus on constitutional issues.
Yeah, but no CCLA this time when the 2 cops came from Edmonton.
Right.
No CCLA, no nothing.
Yeah.
No, and that's scary.
Yeah, because that wasn't at that point. It wasn't the difference between that and the 301. That wasn't a constitution, and.
You mean it's constitutionally accepted, or it passed that somebody could be charged with 300 defaming a police officer, 5 years in jail?
Yeah, but when they accosted you up there, that wasn't a constitutional issue. That was. Yeah.
That was a 300.
But they weren't arresting you.
Yes, 300.
Oh, that's right. It was a 300 after what, I forget how many years after, 5 years after.
301.
Yeah.
And that was 2 years in jail. Yeah. So then they decided to have a new one, 300.
But that was several years after the first.
The 300, when they grabbed me by the legislature, go to YouTube, right, Edmonton Police, and that was 300.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, that was on the 300.
And I couldn't say anything. That was right before my trial. With Garnett, I couldn't say a word because it would have been held against me. Well, and they were investigating. The Attorney General was involved in this, and there's something wrong.
On that one there, the Garnett one was, every time she'd ask you to speak, and this was over the 2 days, you'd say, I'm not going to incriminate myself.
No.
I mean, you made that quite clear. Yeah. When she told you about immunity that was basically the last sentence of the day. Everything was over.
The day after.
You know, everything was over.
Anything you say, Mr. LeBlanc, anything you would have said, Mr. LeBlanc, would have never be held against you. I just want to let you know. I said, well, it's pretty late for that now, huh? Yep. But I didn't have my day in court. Then Richard Scott, I didn't have my right to appeal. Richard Scott ruined everything, but he took a stroke and died weeks later.
His intervention prevented you from filing your papers on time.
It's funny how a man like that, they speak so highly of him, and his reputation is ruined because coming after a welfare bum.
Well, again, we got to keep things in perspective. We know after the fact that he expired.
We don't speak ill of the dead.
Well, I know, like my mom, before she had her last stroke, you know, months before, her personality started to change because she was getting all these little mini strokes. And you know, and you've said it from everyone that you've talked to, this that was really out of character for him to act. So there was something going on. I mean, I think he was already started the dying process when he was there. But regardless, right? Still, the facts are that he intervened and prevented you from
appealing,
completing.
to appear in front of the 3 judges, a 3 appeal judge.
Yeah. So now. That would be, you know,
that'll be up to the government to launch an investigation of what happened. But that'll never happen.
No, again, it was what we talked about yesterday. You know, the public will isn't there. People don't care until they get involved.
Yeah.
That's the only time that they'll call you or call me. And
and call us asshole. Look at that fucking jerk. Excuse my language. Sorry, Jaden. How you doing? Look at that jerk. He's a piece of shit. And then next thing you know, there's something there's something wrong. Then they say, "Oh, the blogger. I could talk to him. No, man, maybe he can help me." It's funny how people are.
It is.
Bunch of two-faced, you know
well,
what?
Is that? You know, it's like when you're a youth and you live, you know, you're pushing the envelope, you're driving fast cars, and you're drinking and driving fast cars. It's always the other guy that's in the graveyard. It's never you.
No.
And that's the way the public goes. You know, they're judgmental. They never think it can happen to them. It's always the other person that gets the shit end of the stick. And then when it happens to them, then they come basically knocking on the doors and, you know, with can you help me?
Yeah. 17 minutes almost. Do you think there's a lot of people watching this?
Or they're going to use it for just before they go to bed at night so they go to sleep.